to the Della Fit Podcasts. 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health, all in one podcast.
Salutations and proclamations. It is I, it is you, it is us, it is we. Together we make up the digital family that is the Della Fit Podcast. I'm your host, Philly's #1 son, aka the body alchemist SunMoon Bay, bringing you another podcast excursion. Welcome one and all. Happy Friday to you. Boy, do we have a great show. That's right. The 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health all in one podcast is back with another power-packed show for you. Boy, that was a mouthful. Welcome. It's going to be such an interesting show, such a fun show. Indeed, which I'm going to do my best to carry through because yours truly has a sore throat. That's right. So if I seem to pause a little or get a little raspy or excuse me, cough a little, it's because yours truly is dealing with the after effects of a cold and sinus infection. You know how it is when you work with the youth, work with teens, and it's just the side of life when you are used to working with people in general, especially the young people. It seems like all of their germs are extra strong. But boy, do we have a great show for you. So I want to start by thanking the good people at Anchor. So for many of you out there that do not know, I do this platform, which is the Della Fit Podcast, my podcast. We do this on through Anchor. It is our hosting site, and it's a great app. I would recommend anybody that is eager to get into podcasting to go and download it. But the cool thing of it is I record everything, and my engineer takes all of the recordings, chops it, slices and dices it, and puts it in the audio oven and turns it into delicious audio magic. And from there, we hand it over to the magical elves and fairies at Anchor, and they sprinkle a little magical dust on it, and poof, voila, you have a podcast. If only it were that simple. But no, it actually almost is. I'm so pleased that the good people at Anchor, they created an option so that now you, the listeners, can leave your messages with us. So you can leave voice messages with us. So you're a part of the podcast, and we have different messages from you listeners out there, and I picked one that I thought would be very interesting to respond to today, and I actually have brought in a former guest to actually talk on the topic, which is a little bit about plateauing. But you know what? But before we get into it, why don't we actually listen to this message right now?
Hello, Della Fit Podcast. This is Mama Carla. I was calling because I would like to hear ways that I can maintain my diet. I'm starting to lose weight. I'm over 55, and it's getting a little bit more difficult. So could you give us some hints about how to maintain? Thank you.
So first things first, I just want to thank Mama Carla for calling into the podcast and leaving her question. This is the first question to debut on the Della Fit Podcast. Typically, we go through email and our boards on our social media when we deal with our questions. But this is the first time we're actually letting everybody, the listeners out there, hear a question from another listener. So I just want to thank you for that. I actually called in a special guest just for this question. And I'm very excited because this special guest hasn't been with us in over a year. But before I go about introducing them, I just kind of want to set up a little bit more about the question, because it seems as though there's a little bit unsaid underneath of that, if I'm understanding correctly. So Mama Carla says that she is 55 years old. She is currently on a diet, and she is losing, but she wants to make sure that she wants to know what she can do to maintain her current fat loss or weight loss, and with that being said itself, it seems as though there's a concern with stalling or plateauing. Although she didn't use those words to say that, I kind of got like an underlying sense of that. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about those things before we get to our guests. So in my own experience, there are 3 different types of scenarios. There is the individual who can diet and be active, and they seem to hit their target weight with ease. They'll lose the weight. It seems like it just melts off. Just like there are some individuals who can change their diets, work out, and gain muscle mass very easily. Number 2, you have the individual who they change their diet, they're active, but it seems as though it just takes them longer to burn fat. Again, nothing wrong with that. Everybody's different. Our bodies are unique. We're individuals. And then you have the third individual who is kind of almost like in between the two. You have this individual, they diet, they're active, and they seem to lose weight very quickly, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like a door shuts and they stall or plateau. Again, all 3 very common scenarios. Nothing wrong, nothing to be worried about. But again, first things first. Our bodies are adaptable biological machines. They are made to adapt. If you look at our bodies are constantly adapting to all types of stimuli, mental, physical, spiritual, all the time. So this is within its scope and its realm of activity. So with that, like I said, I'm going to now introduce the guest, one of our special guests for this week, which is a Miss Chanii Butler. Chanii is a physical trainer from out in the Florida area. She has lots of experience working with older adults and has seen this issue many times. And I can't wait for her to share this information. But before we do, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from our sponsors, and we're going to get right back to you. But you know where you're at. You're here with the De La Fit podcast. Pull up your favorite chair, kick your feet up, relax. You're home. Today's episode of the De La Fit podcast was sponsored by Karma Project. Did you know there are 37 million vehicles across 19 manufacturers that have been recalled so far for having a deadly Takata airbag? 37 million. Do some good by alerting your friends and family about this recall and earn a $5 reward for checking your own vehicle. Chances are you or someone you know has a recalled Takata airbag in their vehicle. Right now, both drivers and front passenger position airbags are affected. This means that you and your passengers could be at risk of being killed or seriously injured by metal fragments shooting out of your airbag. Listen, I've got nieces and nephews to think about, as well as other family members. For a limited time, you can check to see if you're affected by the biggest recall in U.S. history and get a $5 reward for taking time to do so. Just take a picture of your license plate to check if your vehicle is affected by the recall. It takes just 5 minutes, and you can earn money for doing it. I check to make sure I'm not affected, and it's important to me that all of you out there are also checking to see whether or not you're safe. It takes just a minute, and you can get a $5 reward for doing it. Check now at deadlyairbag.com/health. It's urgent. Do not put it off. Check now at deadlyairbag.com/health. You know, the amount of discipline, consistency, time, and effort that it takes an individual to lose their desired amount of weight in order to advance closer to their aesthetic, health, strength, endurance, and or general physical maintenance goals is in no doubt a worthy and immeasurable cause. The uptake of such an endeavor goes hand in hand with such life-altering journeys such as higher education, going on a spiritual quest, or planning for one's own financial future and stability. In short, the shit's real when it comes down to our own individual health. And no one understands this more than when one has taken ill. Feeling unwell can make the simplest task seem daunting. And the sooner we comprehend this fact deep within the very fiber of our being, the much better we will all be. But what occurs when you're already in the midst of your physical transformation, and it seems as though progress has stalled? Something that many of our active elders, whether they have been consistently active their entire lives or in just recent years, are dealing with. What occurs when the body plateaus? Our friend and returning guest, physical trainer Chanii Butler, may have the much needed answer for you.
So, Chanii, what's going on? How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you very much for asking. How are you?
I am messing up with my words and also still getting over this sinus infection, which made me not as capable of saying and speaking as I normally would, the eloquent speaker that I am. Speaker, whatever. Anyway, so, Chanii, for many of our guests out there, Chanii Butler is a physical trainer out in the Florida area. She has been on our show many times before, but it's been a while. I think she hasn't been back with us since last year. And we recently got a question, and the question was, what takes place, or how does one continue past their plateau when you're losing weight and it just seems as though you've hit that wall and you can't seem to get past it, especially if this is normal for many of us, in many different age ranks. But what about, our elders? This is a question I've had from many of the elders. They're like, I just can't seem to get my weight down to this certain level. What can they do? What can they do to answer this question, Chanii?
Basically, there's not a lot of things, but a few things that you can do is readjust, number one, your nutrition. As we lose weight, like a lot of times we go on diet plans or nutrition plans, and it's set at a certain calorie level or our macros and things like that. And we forget to take in consideration that we lost 25 pounds. So now that we've lost 25 pounds or however much weight we've lost, we've got to readjust our menu, so to speak. So our calorie intake has to go down. Our macros have to be readjusted. So that's one way to kickstart it. The other one is definitely with your workout plans. You're always going to have to increase your intensity ever so often. Like I tell my clients and things like that, they need to try to increase their intensity about every 15 days.
Why every 15 days?
That's just a number that I kind of throw out there, and that way you don't get stagnant. It's just it's an odd number, so to speak. It's not like the 30-day mark, because usually by the 30 days you're kind of like, oh, I'm bored with this. Okay. So 2 weeks or so, you want to try to switch things up, and I have to do that with my own workouts and everything. If I try to follow a plan or something, about the second week, I'm so bored with this. So I have to do something different, just to switch it up. I have to, make my intensity go harder. I have to go for a marathon bike ride. Not a marathon run, because I don't run, but a marathon type bike ride or something like that. Just something to kind of kickstart your whole metabolism, your body, everything.
Now, is this the same, would this stand or reason to make sense, would the reason stand that this same plan can be enacted by people of many different health ranges like say an individual that might have osteoporosis or a person that has osteoarthritis or something of that nature, can they still switch it up every 15 days, or how would they change the intensity? What could they do, that was still going along with the guidelines that you're speaking of right now?
Definitely, they can definitely increase it. You can always increase your intensity, or your rep stances, or things like that. You can change your workout, where like a lot of us do cardio first and then our workout.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how about do a little bit of workout and then some cardio and a little more workout and then stretch?
Okay.
Things like that. You just want to kind of shock your body, so to speak, because there is a thing called muscle memory.
Okay.
That's one of the things that also happens when we plateau. It's just like we're going through the same motions, we're doing the same kind of things, same type of exercises just about every day. So our body is like, oh, I know this. I don't have to work too much hard, because we didn't increase. I mean, it could be nothing more than, instead of doing 12 reps, let's increase it to 15 to 20 reps.
Okay.
Add another stretch. Things like that. You're still doing the same exercises, but you're increasing the intensity just a little bit.
So basically, little steps, little changes here and there, and as well as keeping the nutrition as the main factor.
Of course, we all know it's 80% nutrition and 20% exercise.
So let me give you an example. Because I know I've had a few individuals talk to me. I know you said about switching things up. Excuse me. I have a client. She does a lot of walking. She walks almost everywhere. All right,
mm-hmm.
And she's dropped a lot of pounds. But
mm-hmm.
right now for her, she's like, she just can't seem to get past that little mark. So would this be, would you say that to focus more on diet, to tweak it a little bit more, or, would she change that intensity, or both, like you're saying? Just to make sure I'm understanding for everybody out there listening.
I would say both.
Okay.
Like, she's walking, and I know one of the things, a friend of mine has a client who's slightly autistic.
Okay.
And they walk. That's about the only thing they can, really handle doing.
Okay.
Their mental capacity they can get up every day and walk.
Okay.
So they hit a plateau too, So what my friend did was put a weight vest on him.
Okay.
And then just by adding that 5, 10, 8 pounds or whatever to the weight vest, he started losing weight again.
Got you.
Just things like that. You don't necessarily have to go further, but sometimes if you just, make your body work a little bit harder while it's doing the same thing that it's always been doing,
you change the outcome.
It'll change the outcome.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Butler. We appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. I know you saw me stutter and fumble on my brilliant soliloquy, which I had written about 20 minutes before that, and I almost got through it, everybody that's listening, and then I slipped and fumbled on it, and it was just it was a massacre. The thrill of victory was in my grasp, and then the agony of defeat was right there.
You should have just kept going. You were doing second time, you were fine. You need to listen to Les Brown's speech about when he first gave a speech, and he stumbled and fell, and then he got through it, and the girl in the crowd claimed him as his girlfriend, as his boyfriend.
Wow.
The speech was so good, they didn't even care that his voice crackled and whatever else, but just, keep it going. You're all right.
You know what? That does sound good, but also by the magic of podcast editry, we won't have to worry about that. So you good people won't be able to hear me fumble and flip, because by the time you hear it, it's going to be smooth at the baby's bottom. That's right.
All right. Talking about baby's bottom.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Butler. And where can the people reach you again?
Instagram. What is it? 11 Chanii B. LUVM_CHANII_B.
And you're also on Facebook, if I'm correct, right?
Yes, I am also on Facebook, Chanii Burton, or my fitness page is Burn Buddies.
Burn Buddies. Oh my goodness. And I've seen her workouts, y'all. Listen, just so that you all know out there, I tease the hell out of Chanii. She is my homie. We tease each other so bad on our social media. It is the worst. It's like we are like siblings and we just go at each other, but she works her butt off and she really knows what she's talking about. She's a great person, great human being with a great heart. So check her out on social media, on Instagram, as well as Facebook. Hit her up. She's great. She knows how to help you, and definitely reach out. We'll be back after these messages.
Della Fit Podcast is now available on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play Music.
Hey, Daylight Fit Podcast listeners. Want to share your opinions, give feedback, or tell me what you're thinking? Send me a voice message. Voice messages are an easy way for you to send me audio that might end up in a future episode of the Daylight Fit Podcast. They're the latest feature from Anchor, the platform I use to make this podcast. Here are some of the things I'd like to hear from you. Questions you may have for me, future topics, and or types of guests you would like us to reach out to. You can send me a voice message right now from wherever you're listening. Just tap the link in my show notes. I can't wait to hear from you.
You're now tuned in to the Daylight Fit Podcast.
.360 degrees of holistic fitness and health all in one podcast. Welcome back. Special shout out goes to Chanii Butler for being with us today. Many of you who listen to the podcast know that Chanii was a consistent guest most of last year. But I will say due to popular and increased demand in her schedule, Chanii has not been able to be here as much, which is excellent for her, and we're so proud of all the work and attention that she's getting, because she's very, very deserving of all of it. But it's so good to have her back here and to share her information with us. Also, special shout out to Mama Carla for leaving her voicemail for everyone to hear and being a part of the show. Just for everybody out there, just to remind you all, if you want to leave a question or a voicemail, you can. If you listen to us on the Anchor app, you can actually go into the podcast notes, if I'm correct, or podcast profile, and there's a section on there which will allow you to leave a voice message. But for all of you who are listening on other platforms, you can also contact us at our Google number, which is 267-908-5689. And you can leave us a voice message related to a fitness question. It can be something in the range of financial, something dealing with physical fitness, something into spiritual fitness, and we will bring on the appropriate guests to answer the question. Also, if you have a specific topic you would like us to talk about, leave us a voice message. If you have a specific guest that you would like to be on the show, you think that they fit into the whole 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health that we preach and that that we promote here at the Daylight Fit Podcast, and you're like, yeah, that person would be great, they need to really interview them, we encourage you to either contact us and leave us a voice message, or you can do an email. But I think it's so much more interesting to hear your voicemail messages, because it's not just pardon me, it's not sorry guys, it's not just me. It's or it's not just us over here. It's not just us talking, but it's actually you, the listeners, being a part of the show as well. So we encourage you all to make use of the Anchor app as well as the Google number and leave your voicemail messages. You know what I mean? Because you never know, we might pick your message next. up next, we're going to stay in line with the conversation. I know a lot of the times when we're talking about fitness, as I've said before, we could be talking about financial fitness. We could be talking about spiritual fitness. We could talk about all types of fitness that are still related to us as human beings. But we're going to stay in line today with physical fitness. And we're going to be talking about something that is most common with many people who are lifters of weight or fans of weightlifting, which would be joint issues. You know, if you're an Olympic lifter or you practice Olympic lifting, whether it's competition based or whether it's just for your own personal fun, whether you power lift, again, for your own personal benefit, or if you're in competition, bodybuild, whatever it is, or you're just a weekend warrior, you say, I just like to get it in every now and then and get jacked and swole. Well, guess what? Day after day, month after month, week after week, year after year, all of that, without the proper nutrition, without the proper technique, without the proper rest and relaxation, can aggravate joints if you're not careful. So how do we continue to do what it is we love to do without injuring our joints so seriously that it ends up hurting our quality of life? Well, we have one of my personal mentors and friends back here, which is the trainer's trainer, Mr. Geoffrey Snyder, and he's going to be talking about that up next. So stay tuned as we head over to the trainer's trainer and have a conversation about how to maintain our joint health. Hey, you with the earbuds in their ear. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? When I was trying to get my podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other places people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcasts. I like to upload my episodes directly to the app and then promote. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast, make money doing it. Go to anchor.fm/start to join me in the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
It's time for another podcast excursion. Join us. We are the Della Fit Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the De La Fit Podcast, 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health for you. And we have one of my favorite guests here today. We're going to be talking about a subject that is very important to many of us, which is those joints, those darn joints, you know, those things you need to move and to pull and to do everything in your life. And if you have an active gym life, or if you're just getting older and things like that, then things can get pulled, things get injured, and we need to protect our joints. So, gonna invite my friend right here, one of my favorite guests, my mentor, the trainer's trainer, Geoffrey Snyder. Are you there?
Hello, everybody. How are you?
What's going on, Jeff? How you been?
I'm here. It's going to rain today, okay? That's all I'm going to tell you. It's going to rain today.
Oh, man. Yeah, you for everybody out there that doesn't know, you know, if you don't have any issues out there, you know what that means. Or I should say, you don't know what that means, so I'll explain it. For those that have joint issues, you all do know what it means, and that is, you know, when it starts to rain and things like that, yeah, you can feel it, like I'm feeling it in my elbow right now.
Right. Yeah, it's inevitable. You will have joint problems if you're lifting weights. It's going to come and go. It's going to come more than it goes. It's just one of those things.
So, Jeff, what are some of the things individuals can do to protect themselves, whether they're novice or new to weightlifting, or if they're older adults, because we have a lot of older adults who are trying to be active and do things necessary, and they have already, some have already aggravated joints. What can individuals do to protect what they already have and as well as strengthen them?
Well, the first thing is your form. Okay. Your form is very important. If you're doing the form wrong, you're setting yourself up for joint issues later down the line. Okay. Proper technique is good. If you learn proper technique, you will, your joints will not get damaged as much. Let's say that. And be mindful, of what you're doing. You don't have to lift that heavy weight. A lot of people, think I have to lift a lot of weight to get the body that I want. Moderate weight is good. When you start lifting heavy weights, you cause joint damage, joint tendon and ligament damage. And it starts from there, and your diet is very important to eat nutrients and foods that are good for joint protection and joint health.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just going to ask, what are some of those foods that can help joints for joint protection?
That is a good question that I cannot answer at this present time.
Okay, no problem.
I'm being honest. I just know that I didn't do it. I wasn't taught the correct things to eat. I mean, I did the glucosamine conjoint, and but it was too late. My joints were too damaged to even help with the conjoint and the glucosamine.
Now, I know what a lot of individuals have told me, and a lot of things I kind of took was the fact of lots of calcium, one, to help. So a lot of vegans out there, I know you're out there and you're saying, well, how do I strengthen my joints and things like that? I don't eat any type of meat or anything like that. Some individuals they say bone broth, that helps strengthen joints as well as bones. A variety of different nutrients, such as, what is that? It's not potassium. I think it might be a little bit of potassium, zinc, things like that. What we'll do is we'll actually, on the website, post up nutrients that can help joints and overall body development and strength. So we can do that for you to make it easier, because, it's a lot of things, off the top of the head that are in there, guys, and you can't get them all out there at the same time. Right. We'll have it posted up for you on the website. Jeff, what else, as a competitive lifter you've been, what are some of the things that individuals can do? I know you said technique and things like that. All right. What about finding the right coach?
That's very important too.
Okay.
If you don't know what you're doing, you want to get a certified coach.
Right.
You want a coach that's had some experience on the platform.
Right.
And those are the two things that you want to find. Someone that's been on the platform that knows about powerlifting, knows about meat and meat preparation, and someone that's certified.
Right.
But not all coaches are going to be certified. Some coaches are not certified that are very, very good. It's just you have to find out what's right for you. When I was coming up, I came up in the school of Louis Simmons.
Okay.
Very aggressive, heavy weights. Your form was good, but they focused on a lot of other things. And it was brutal workouts. Brutal workouts. If you're not ready to get off the boat, don't get off the boat.
Right.
Don't get off the boat unless you're ready to go all the way. And that's with serious powerlifters. Not your fly by night, passing fancy. Like, if this is what you're gonna do, you're gonna have to live that life.
Right.
It's like bodybuilders. Bodybuilders walk around with a jug of water all the time. It's the life. You gotta really be into it.
Right.
So,
right.
What you want to do is get a good coach and someone that has some experience. Even a fellow powerlifter who's had some experience on the platform is good.
Right.
Because they're going to be able to critique your form. They're going to be able to look at what's weak in your lift and then focus on that weak part of your lift, because a lot of people don't realize, you're strong. You have a lot of secondary and tertiary muscles that, you have your primary muscles that help you to lift. But you may be weak in a particular part of the lift. And that person should be able to sit down and look at that part of your lift and say, listen, you need to do more tricep work. You need to do more shoulder work. You need to do more back work. This is what's going to help you to get through your bench press.
Right.
You should be able to identify that. And if they can't, then you need to get rid of them and find somebody else. Also, you want to surround yourself with like-minded people. You want to go to a powerlifting gym. You're not going to find too many cows to LA Fitness. But it depends on what LA Fitness you go to.
Right.
If you're not going to find too many powers in a certain LA Fitness, you really need to go to a hardcore powerlifting gym or just a hardcore gym, period. And that's what's, once you get in that environment, then you'll know what I'm talking about.
Another thing, just to piggyback on what you're saying, Jeff, is also for those out there who aren't interested in competing or also just in it just for general fitness and, or want to maintain their fitness or increase it. Again, find a certified trainer, find somebody that can teach you the definite ways, the proper technique and things that you need to do so that you don't injure yourself and you can maintain technique and you can continue to have the quality of life that you have. And also add on to it.
These are the things that you want to do. You also just want to do a lot of research, do a lot of reading. When I was coming up, there was no internet.
Right.
So I didn't have the opportunity to get online and take a look at certain powerlifters that, I had a magazine that came out, Powerlifting USA.
Mm-hmm.
I read it once a month. Black and white, no frills, and that's what I used as a training tool to get my information.
Right.
I was able to get out to Westside Barbell to see Louis Simmons and how they train out there. And unfortunately, I couldn't stay out. It's in Ohio,
mm-hmm.
so you can't stay other places like that. But had the internet been available to me, I could watch videos, I could learn techniques through the videos. I had a good coach, and I had good training partners who were all powerlifters.
Right.
So that was a plus. But the internet, man, you can see everything. You can look at your idol and say, okay, this is what he does, this is how he lifts, this is his technique.
That's right.
This is what he does with his own days. So, the younger generation now, you have the benefit of the internet, which is a plus.
And again, to piggyback again off of what you're saying, Jeff, also do a lot of research and don't just imitate your idol. Research what they're doing, because that can also get you hurt too.
You have to. Case in point, Muscle & Fitness magazine years ago used to put Arnold's workout in, or some of the older bodybuilders' workouts in the magazine. And what happened was people, like Arnold might, Arnold might start off with 250 pounds in the bench press,
mm-hmm.
and then go up.
Right.
And you had guys that couldn't bench press 250 pounds. But they were trying to put that weight on there to do that. Because they said, I'm following Arnold's workout. He says, so with 250 pounds, and cats were getting hurt.
Right.
Cats were getting hurt. So they stopped putting the weights in on these guys' workouts because these guys aren't normal.
That's right.
And they're enhanced. So there's no way in the world a kid in high school who reads Muscle & Fitness is looking at somebody's workout, he's going to do the same thing, and cats are getting hurt. So they stopped putting the weight in and just said, this is what he does. He does dumbbell press. He does flat bench. He does shoulder press. There's no weights.
Right.
Now, the Powerlifting magazine, Powerlifting USA magazine, had the weights in there, but they said these are the percentages and scale it back for your lifting.
Right.
So that you know what to do,
And again,
it's very important. Technique is so important.
And again, like you're saying, the bodybuilding, powerlifting, these are all very competitive, very, I don't want to say aggressive, but very time and life-consuming sports if you're going to get involved in them. Now, if you're just interested in general fitness or if you want to get stronger, again, do the research, take your time, all right? And don't go half-cocked. I'm sorry, and we have to definitely say that, Jeff. Make sure for a lot of individuals out there, don't go half-cocked. You have to build up to a certain level of strength, and slow and steady wins the race. It's always better to have that. Always better to have that. Jeff, we're going to close out today. I appreciate you. All right, thank you so much for coming by. Where can people find you?
Trainer's Trainer on Instagram.
All right.
Trainer's Trainer.
And you're on Facebook, if I'm correct.
I'm on Facebook, Geoffrey Snyder. Geoffrey. SNYDER.
Everyone, thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll be back with more information in a few moments.
Salutations and proclamations. It's Philly's number one son, aka the body alchemist, SunMoon Bay, host of the Daily Fit podcast, letting you know that you can now tune in from some of your favorite platforms. That's right, iTunes lovers, Google Play Music listeners, and Spotify addicts. Simply to tune in, go to the search section in your favorite platform and type in Daily Fit Podcast. We haven't forgotten about you too, YouTube lovers or SoundCloud floaters. It's the same thing. Go to your favorite app or platform and type in the search menu, Daily Fit Podcast. I want to thank all of our guests that participated in making today's show what it was, the success that I feel it was, all of the positive energy, all of the good thoughts, all of the questions that we had. Still excited about that. Again, shout out to Mama Carla for calling in to the Daily Fit podcast and leaving her question. Shout out to Chanii Butler and the Trainer's Trainer, Geoffrey Snyder, for coming on to the podcast and leaving their information and their experience. We've been focusing so much on this particular podcast on the body. I want to take a little bit of time out to also talk about the mind, and talk about perception. Perception is a very, very interesting thing. From one angle, you can see something and it looks particularly one way, one dimensional, and then if you change your angle or you move around an object, then you start to see many complex sides of it. And we as human beings are that object. We have so many different complexities, so many different sides to us, and it's interesting if you think of it, because we generally only see one-dimensional side to each other. When we come in contact with one another, it's actually quite comical. When we come in contact with each other, we see the first surface side or superficial side of each other. So we'll just say we take our physical appearance, whether you're a muscular individual, whether you're a slim individual, whether you are particularly large, or whether you are tall or short or whatever. And then that's the first initial contact that we have. That's the first surface layer. And now after that, there's the communication part. And within that communication part, we see the first, or I should say another surface layer, which is the surface layer of our personality, our character. You see how we interact when we're in group settings, how we interact when we're in a one-on-one communication setting. And it's always interesting. And I know a lot of you listeners out there are probably kind of wondering, like, why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because having a lot of experiences with individuals, specifically in the past week, and dealing with their positives and negatives. I'll bring up a quick story. There's an individual that was coming in to a place that I frequent. And when this individual steps in the setting, they are typically very, very obnoxious. They are very, they try to do their best to offset the harmonious nature of the environment. And a friend of mine and I we were sitting and just kind of communicating and talking, and we were really getting to the point where we were kind of like, getting annoyed. And what took place is that, we removed ourselves from the situation, but we find that every time this particular individual would be in our presence or be within anybody's presence, there was always something that was wrong. always a need for attention, always a need to be heard. So, this has been going on for a while. So what we typically do is we decide we're not going to go into this one specific area. We're not going to go anytime, because this individual seems to frequent this area. Doing this for our own mental health and sanity, we decided to make a plan. We would always go and be in one specific area of this building. So, talked to another associate who works in the building, a good friend of ours, and they said that this individual continues to come in and make ruckus all the time. And this particular day, I was out, I was walking around, I was talking, I was just mingling outside by myself, and I saw this individual. And when I saw this individual, I saw them, I guess I kind of caught them off guard. They didn't see me. This is the individual that was making all this ruckus, all this noise. But I kind of saw them, and I don't know what made me do it, but I kind of focused in on them because they were in the midst of talking to somebody else and having communication that was kind of similar, but I could see that they were not the dominant figure in the conversation. And what took place was the fact of I kind of got a little bit more of a sense of this person's personality based on what I was hearing them communicate. And what I was hearing them communicate was basically seemed like a lot of long-term exposure to this abuse and dysfunction, and how they regulated themselves to respond to individuals. This is due to this prolonged exposure to abuse and dysfunction. And while the human side of me, the empathetic side of me was kind of like, wow, that's a shame. The other side of me that is not empathetic was kind of like, and pardon my language, everybody, like, fuck that dude. and pardon me, but we are an adult show. So my reasons for stating this is the fact of when I got off to myself and I thought about my experiences throughout the day, and I thought about the experience that I had, and I even had a chance to rethink of my not so much contact but observing of this individual who likes to start ruckus and trouble. I started to think about all of the complex layers of myself. I started to think about all of the complex layers that many of us human beings have. And it's quite funny because, to one set of people, one set of individuals, you are something quite different. You might be a friend, you might be a person to lean on, you might be a shoulder to cry on, you might be all of the good things. To another person, you're an asshole, you're a jerk. You know what I mean? You are somebody that they don't like to be around. To another person, you are, we'll say, immensely attractive. You hold a attraction that they feel they might never be able to obtain. To another person, you're disgusting. You know what I mean? And it's interesting, and I'm saying this because of the fact of, if you pay attention to this, if you pay attention to how we are as human beings, the layers, at least for me, a certain point of empathy can build for you. A certain point of knowledge as the fact of, dealing with this individual or dealing with individuals, I think, at least for myself, judgment gets pulled back. Now, I have a lot of friends of mine, and I have one friend in particular. He always says, only person that can judge me is the creator, because that's the one that created me. I've heard many people say this, but I actually think that's the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard. I can judge you, and I think people should judge one another, but based on their inner reaction and based on what they see according to that inner reaction. You know what I mean? And that is just a pure safety mechanism for individuals. If my inner reaction with you is toxic, and it's always toxic, there's going to be a judgment. There has to be a judgment. The judgment is the fact of I'm going to use this judgment to stay away from you. Now, I'm not going to generalize that judgment on other people, but I'm going to use this judgment to protect myself. And so I think we need to be very discerning when we come and we talk about judgment. But I'm saying this because of the fact of when you think of all the multifaceted layers that we as human beings have within ourselves, you know, just individually, judgment can kind of be a tool for self-protection versus a tool of casting some type of power over somebody, or saying that they're not worth something, or you know what I mean. And I think that's what a lot of self-reflection brings. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because of the fact of, just like I said, you know, many of us, we interact with one another time and time again, and sometimes we get to a point where we become selfish in our actions. We become selfish in the way that we respond to things. Oh, that's never going to take place to me. Oh, I wouldn't do that. Oh, they should know better. No, because this is why, and we're thinking about how we think about things and how we deal with things, but we're not necessarily thinking about the 360 degrees that we are created with. We're not thinking totally of all the experiences that we've had versus others. There are experiences that I know others who are my age have had that are nowhere near similar to mine. Whether it's trauma, abuse, or having it, not having it, two-parent home, single parent home, relationships, it's just too much. So the thing of it is that I feel that we as human beings, we as individuals, we need to make use of that. We need to make use of that reflection and thinking about the fact of just how we fit and how we interact with one another. And even though we're dealing with a person that might be hostile, kind of being almost childlike with how we deal with our feelings. And when I say childlike, I mean a child can be angry at you 1 minute, and then in the next minute they love you. A child can deal with you one day and be very upset, and then the next day it's done. And I think that's the best way to deal with life, in a sense. You know what I mean? You deal with every situation according to that situation. And it's hard because we harbor things. We're kind of taught to harbor things, you know, and part of that protection of ourselves is about remember certain things so that you can, you know, live, and survive through your experiences. You know, it's kind of like an emotional map. This person did this, now let me watch them, you know. But you can watch them, but the judgment is based on how they act right then. And there's deeper layers to it. It's way deeper layers. But I just kind of wanted to bring that up because it was something that hit me. It was something that really made me think, dealing with the events of this week and individuals and people. And I just kind of wanted to bring that up because it's very important. You know, I kind of feel like, at least in the Western world, at least where I was raised, you know, in the East Coast, we get very self-centered. It's very easy to get self-centered. Growing up in Philadelphia, and having friends in New York and in Jersey and other parts. Pardon me, sorry. We get into this thing, you know, like for me, it was North Philadelphia. North Philadelphia was the life. It's my neighborhood, it's my friends, it's my environment, it's everything. And you wear your shirts with NP on it, North Philly proud, and and all that, and you go to your neighborhood games and things like that, and we might go out to South Philly, but he's not good as North Philly and all that, and then when you leave your city, I'm going to New York, but I'm from Philly and all these things like that. And going to New York, have a family up there, I always remember hearing them say Brooklyn, 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 go Brooklyn, and it's always funny. And the thing of it is that there's nothing wrong with pride and where you come from. There's nothing wrong with that. But to get back and tie it into what I'm saying is the fact of being able to reflect on oneself, to slow down and reflect on inner reactions and the complexities of who we are and the multifaceted sides that we have. At least in my opinion, it sparks empathy, and it sparks a kind of like a common ground, and if you use that as a balance to the pride that you can have pride, but you can also understand other people's pride. You can also understand people's angers, other people's situations. Doesn't mean that you're not going to deal with them on the level that they approach you. I mean, if a person comes up to you or me, and at least me, and says, they want to assault me, I'm not going to go back and be like, wow, what are all the things that could have took place for this person to think about that, that could have caused them to get to this level at that time. No, I'm going to knuckle up, put my hands up, and lay them out if I have to. I mean, and then later I might be like, wow, that's crazy. I don't know what took place. I didn't know that individual. I don't know what's going on, but you know what I mean? So it's just some thoughts, some food for thought for all of you out there. I thought that would be a quick, good conversation to discuss with you listeners out there. Just to kind of bring it home to what we do here with that 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health that we always are discussing here at the De La Fit podcast. Again, I'm so excited for everybody that joined us this week. All of our guests that were here. We have a great show next week for you. I'm going to kind of let that build up. I never like to let you all know within the podcast what's going to take place, but we're going to be talking about some very complex issues coming up soon. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be informative, as we always try to make it here. And hopefully it's going to be resourceful. Also, I'm going to be sharing probably on my social media more information dealing with nutrition and joints and how to help with joint health. Also going to be posting it up on the De La Fit podcast. If not, the De La Fit podcast website. If not on the website, we're going to be posting it on the social media, which is day_la_fit podcast, so that everybody can have that information up and have it handy for you or on the website. We are still in the process of revamping the website, which is www.delafitpodcast.com. We're moving, we're progressing, but as one of the spurs of it, you got to find the right people, and I like to find the right people to do the right job. The De La Fit podcast is something that has a spirit that I of positivity, and individuals, I don't just call individuals, be like, hey, could you do this job? That's not me. I want people to come with the right spirit and come with the right mentality. So, we're still in the process of getting somebody to go up and revamp that, to make it nice presentationally for everybody. So I'm not gonna front. It's a little clunky right now, but it's still useful. But we're gonna make it a little bit more streamlined for you all out there. As always, we encourage you to definitely write in. If you have topics, if you have a discussion, something that you want us to discuss, if you have somebody that you want us to have on the show, please feel free to write in at our email, which is delafit13@gmail.com. you can go to the website, which is www.daylafitpodcast.com, and go to the section that says contact us, or and write in your questions and things like that. You can go to the Anchor app if you are on Anchor, and you can contact us in the section that says message, voice message. You can do that, or you can call us at our number. And again, let me try to bring this up. I told you guys I'm so poor at this when it comes to having all the information. I have to have it on my phone, and then I have to find it on my phone, which I'm in the process of doing now. And that number is 267. Hold on. I love it when electronics stall and makes me look so stupid anytime. So that number is 267-908-5689. You can call in to our Google voice message, leave a question, a topic to discuss, or a guest that you would like us to contact. We are eager to hear that. And you know what? We get that message, we might even have it on our show. We might even put it on the show for everybody to hear. So please make sure that you speak clearly. Make sure that you leave your first name and last initial, or if you want to use a nickname, we don't mind. Just make sure it's not too insane. But so we are so excited to have this new feature available to everyone, and I'm just excited. I'm excited, and I'm thrilled about the possibilities of what's going to come. So, as we always do at this time, I just want to remind everybody that, to continue to promote the village, and for everyone to each one teach one. So, as I say at the end of every podcast, it takes a village to raise a child, and we are all somebody's child, and each one should teach one. So if we're all somebody's child, we're all family, and each one of us should teach one of us to help us build and be better. To everyone out there, I hope that you are loved. I hope you love yourself, and I hope that you are on the road to becoming the best person that you can be. We are here to help you. We are here for positivity, and we thank you for tuning in. As always, thank you, and have a great, beautiful day.
You've been listening to the Della Fit podcast. Ta-ta for now.